I'm Amy from moonmondology.com, and today I just want to look at Elon Musk's chart. He is a programmer who developed PayPal, sold it, and then he started up Tesla. He has a space program, and now he has branched into politics in the name of freedom of speech. He also bought Twitter, but he is also accused of having an authoritarian intent. But he's on track to become the world's first trillionaire by 2027. And recently, Donald Trump has brought him into his political cabinet. And I think that a lot of that came about after Elon hosted a live talk with Donald Trump. But I would like to know what makes him so rich and, you know, what has made him branch into government as well. So his ascendant is in Ardra, and this is somebody who is very well acquainted with life being turned upside down, rebuilding and coming back better. And I have heard that he started Tesla and then almost ends up being bankrupt and the risk of losing everything. And he has rebuilt since then and is doing 10 times more better. Looking at his first house, he has an incredible ego, but there's also a bit of a bad temper as well. He's very Elon-centric, if that's a word, and sometimes it can feel really inconsiderate to other people, and he's very competitive. He doesn't like receiving orders, and, you know, he would have really struggled to be employed by somebody else instead of running his own business. But there is a closeness to his father, but there's also a possibility, as we see here, of government work, association with kings and leaders, and he now has a government job. So Mercury is also here, which is strong in its own sign, and it gets Dig Bala in the first, and it's incredible. This is a strong Mercury, and it's also giving a Vajra Yoga as well. And I think this is really what you want to see when you are talking about someone who is very wealthy and successful. His intelligence is so sharp, and he'll be talented with communications, and there is incredible wit. The fourth ruler is in the first as well. And then you've also got the third ruler in the first, which is really about communications, real estate. And, you know, he has a few major companies as well: Tesla, transport, SpaceX, also transport, and he works with satellites, which is communications. And then he also has X, which is also about communications. So there is a solid theme going on here. Uranus and Pluto are in the fourth, and this is absolutely unsurprising because the fourth is about transport. And, you know, he has a powerful electric car company. And there would have been some secrets within his family as well. There could have been uncertainty, and he may never feel like he really belongs. And his mother may have been very controlling. She may have had addiction problems, and his feelings about security in general are quite troubled, and there can be a lot of turmoil, change in his home life. And, you know, we think, if only we had £1 billion, I wouldn't have to worry about anything. Well, Elon has a ton of stuff to be worried about. And, you know, these rich people are always in lawsuits because somebody else wants their money. And you can see this in his chart. And, you know, he does indeed have problems with feeling secure in his life. And money is not something that fixes that. Jupiter and Neptune are in the sixth, and he has to be really careful as there's a potential problem with his liver, with allergies, with gallbladder, things like that. And there can also be fluid retention and excesses that cause problems, especially with Neptune here, as this can bring mysterious illnesses as well. Neptune is related to fluids. There is a nice aspect to the 10th house, which is great for his career, obviously. And as he gets older, he is destined to do better and better. And as for Jupiter, that's the Karaka for children. So there can be problems with his children and problems with winning legal battles as well. And he may have issues with employees at times. You know, there's allergies and impacts the liver, as I've said. The problem here as well is that Neptune can bring misdiagnosis. So the sixth ruler of health, that goes to the eighth, and this can bring chronic illness and of course bring him a lot of court cases and lawsuits. So there can be problems with marriages as well. As you see, the seventh ruler is linked to a Dastana, and interestingly his 10th house of career also has problems, and he hasn't avoided problems there when he was in the cycle of Mars. He did indeed almost go bankrupt. So that is a link between those two houses, and actually more of a link between 3 Dasthanas. And that's incredible for creating problems in his life. Mars is in the 8th. It's exalted. It's great for living a long time. It makes him really intelligent, gives him wit, great ability with science, and he is great with other people's money as well. So it's investments, and he has great passion. And he's the sort of person who is incredibly cerebral and has great technical skills. And I don't know if he does play chess, but he will probably naturally be very good at that thing. Rahu in the 8th is going to give him a lot of success, and this 8th house is so strong, but it's also very malefic. So he is unfortunately always destined to have problems with divorces, and there can be addictions as well. The 8th house is of power, and he clearly has a lot of it, but this power can also cause him a lot of problems. Rahu and Mars conjunct can give him quite a significant temper, and there can be problems with sex addiction. What is going on with me? There can be problems with sex addiction because Mars is incredibly physical, and Rahu blows it all out of proportion. So he's probably very hyperactive and always on the move, and there can also be materialism as well. K2 is in the 2nd house, and this is very interesting as there is a real problem with his sense of security, and his early childhood would have been very turbulent. It is lucky that he has lots of money, as you know, he has weak teeth because there is this positioning, but he also has poor habits when it comes to what he puts in his mouth. And with K2, I would say there could be uses of prescription drugs. A quick Google tells that he likes a little bit of the old ketamine for his depression, which is an interesting thing. It's a pharmaceutical drug, not over here, but anyway, Saturn and Venus is in the 12th house, and there are a lot of problems with ups and downs in his life, especially in romance. But there is also a deep link to foreign lands as well, and of course he lives in America, and he is a native of Africa, and he's the sort of person who likes to be alone, work behind the scenes. But there's a lot of disappointment and problems in these relationships, as Saturn brings a lot of affliction to Venus. But Saturn is the Karaka of business, and with Venus, this is really positive and contributes to him having good opportunities in business. And the 12th house is all about secrets. So there can be secret affairs, infidelity. And because he has so much passion and energy, you know, there can be like a casualness towards physical affection as well. But he's good at finding a deal. Malefic's in the 12th, it can interfere with sleep, and I think he is renowned for not sleeping for very long. I think I've heard somewhere that he sleeps for about 4 hours a night. But, you know, he may never feel truly rested either. Saturn and Neptune are exactly opposed, and this is idealism meeting reality. So his dream can and did come true. As I mentioned before, there's so much going on in these Dasthana houses, and they're all linked. And if you look at Saturn, it rules the 8th and goes to the 12th. And then it's conjunct Venus that rules the 12th. And Mars is in the 8th and rules the 6th. And he almost went bankrupt in 2008. And that was when Mars and Saturn, these two planets, created a lot of problems for him. And he has to be careful when he is in the dasha of these two Dasthanas. So the moon is in the 3rd house, and this is going to make him somebody who travels around a lot, and there's a lot of movement, and it supports communication skills. He's brave, and you know, there's a bit of affliction from Mars, so it's another sign that his relationship with his mother isn't perfect. There's one thing that I really struggle to work out, and that's how he has so many children, because I really wouldn't have pegged him as somebody having loads of children looking at this chart, but I would say there is separation from them. And I know that his eldest child is critical of him as well. So moving on to the dashas. So looking at his dashas, he has to be careful when he goes into Jupiter Dasha in 2030. And then in 2032, he has 2 Dasthanas creeping up again, which could be problematic for him. And I think he really needs to watch his health in Saturn Dasha as well. And then if we look at his transits for the year, I think he's going to be doing really, really well, working a lot. And he has some fantastic transits around the 7th of November and the 10th of December. And when we move into 2025, especially the 31st of March is going to be good. He can climb to great power. And of course, you know, 5th of November was voting day. They did win. And Donald Trump is going to be the next president. And Elon Musk is going to be, I can't remember what it is, the Minister of Good Decisions, something like that. Jupiter is really empowered by Venus, and you know, that was a sign that he was going to always get involved in an institution. April the 24th, 2025, Jupiter transits his Venus, and this could really boost his finances as well as giving him new ideas for the future. Venus is the planet of luxury, so he could release a new luxury car, or he could be part of something that brings more money to America as well. On the 2nd of May, Jupiter is going to activate his 8th house and Mars. And this 8th house can be dealings with science, technology and industry as well. So Jupiter would have been there about 12 years ago when Tesla was really starting to kick off. And he was quickly making his way out of the hole that he found himself in during 2008 when he almost went bankrupt. Early July, Jupiter is going to be going into his 1st house. And so I don't think he's going to be so much behind the scenes. And this is when I think we're going to start to see more of him, especially as Jupiter will be sitting on his Sun. So this is really huge. And I think he's going to be iconic during this time. Is it for good or bad? Or I'm not entirely sure, but I would actually say that he will be having more of a positive influence around this time. Jupiter rules the 10th, so I think it's going to be great. And one thing I do want to say is that Elon's new position in the government, you know, he doesn't work under anybody. He can't work under anybody, as I've said earlier. He's an advisor. And I think all these Jupiter transits tell me that, you know, at least to start off with, this is going to go well for him. Then in August, Jupiter transits his Mercury, and I think this is going to make communications and positions really shine, and he is in for a great year. But there is still some scandal that he may experience because he's in Rahu and Venus Dasha. It's the 8th and the 12th, and sometimes the 8th house can be power, but you know, he's in this Dasha until 2026. So there is a lot of time for things to change. And overall, I think he is really activating some powerful connections between those Dasthanas. Celebrities can have really extreme charts. And this is an outrageously extreme example. And of course, he's the richest man in the world, or one of them. Strong Mercury, strong Dasthanas, and I think that there's some kind of link between those things to extreme wealth. But we can, of course, cover that another time. But thank you very much for watching today. I hope you enjoyed looking at Elon's chart, and I will see you next week. Thank you. Bye.